Well, bonjour, good morning, everyone. It's Doc Phineas here on Doc Talk, our episode 27. And today's episode is on interior design. And I got a wonderful email from one of my fans who's in our fan club, Debbie Orr. She's out of Pasadena, California. Hi, Debbie. And thank you for your question, which is, she said, we've all seen you on Pawn Stars and Mysteries at the Museum, Jay Leno's Garage, all these television shows that you're on. And I've also seen you in movies, on HBO 1, HBO 2. I just saw you in Out for Blood with Lorenzo Lamas. And I've seen you in Brittle Glory with Tony Curtis. And she said, but how does interior design fit into your life? How did you get involved with interior design? And what is the backstory there? Well, that's a good question, and I appreciate it, Debbie. Thank you. So, as many of you know, I was on HGTV. I had a show on Friday nights during the 1990s, which was called Awesome Interiors. And how I got to that was moving to San Francisco to pursue my education. I lived in the city. I attended the University of California, Berkeley, and the Graduate Theological Union. And I was basically putting myself through college as a fashion model, working for House of Dior and house model at iMagnons on Union Square. And so I was in a lot of runway shows, a lot of fashion shows, and I was approached by the San Francisco Opera, and they were like, they kind of had their own opera, like their own Met Gala in San Francisco. And they were like, we'd like for you to model some costumes from some really great operas for our gala. And of course I said yes. I was always happy to help the opera. So I was wearing these beautiful costumes that came from Parsifal, from King Lear, from Pagliacci, Corsica Rusticana, the Medium, and the final thing was I came in as the Pharaoh from Aida. So it was really a great night. It was a fantastic gala. And then we sort of circulated with the patrons that were there, their tables. And I was pulled to the table of none other than Ann Getty of Getty Oil. And Ann turned to me and she goes, I'm just taken with your look. I absolutely loved everything that you wore. And I'd like for you to meet everybody at our table. And she said, this is David and Dennis Redmond, two of the very best designers that we have in San Francisco, very famous twins who are a design team here. And she continued to introduce me to Hearst family and numerous people that were at her table. And she said, I'm having a really big soiree at my home. I'd like for you to come and be at that soiree. So I was very fortunate to be invited into Ann Getty's circle. And David and Dennis Redmond said, we'd like for you to see our design firm. If you've never seen that before, but specifically, we're taking fabrics that are used in the home design industry, and we're going to do a really big fashion show, and that's going to be here in San Francisco at the Design Center on Kansas Street. And if you'd be so kind, we'd love to include you in our show. I've got a couple of things I want you to wear. And so I was pulled into this interesting circle of people, particularly David and Dennis Redmond, who probably had the most successful design firm at the time. Their home in San Francisco was the house used in Tales of the City, that beautiful little cabana that's on the very top of the building that looks out at Golden Gate Park. That was something they designed for their orchid collection. They had live orchids growing up there, and this beautiful cabana on top of their building, and their house was absolutely spectacular. I think in terms of interior design, these guys were absolutely evolved, wonderful mentors. And because of them, I was brought into a circle of people like June Brown, who was president of the National Society of Interior Designers. These people would come to their parties. The famous Remy Chatan of C.W. Stockwell, and Dorothy Lawinda of Needler Faucher. And I ended up meeting all of these really great designers, Stephen Harris, who had incredible lines of fabrics and amazing experience in the industry. Remy Chatan's family was probably one of the very first interior design firms in Pasadena, and it probably at this point is close to being 150 years old. He grew up in a family, just amazing homes. And because I entered this circle, I started entering all of these homes in society as a young student at Berkeley. And, I had a just wonderful opportunity to be around fantastic designers. So I sort of made that transition from being fashion model even though I still was doing fashion and still doing commercial modeling and spreads and TV commercials. And I had a television show in San Francisco on Saturday nights called Voice of Mystery Theater, where I play these kind of like the male version of Elvira. I would play these spooky movies on Saturday nights and host that show. And then I was also entering David and Dennis's design firm, and they were really pleased with a lot of my ideas. I had done a lot of design work for my parents growing up and designed my mother's home, so I was already putting fabrics together and doing this sort of thing from the age of 14. So I just sort of had this knack for knowing how to do interior design, and that's how I entered the interior design world. So in 1980, I came to the Pacific Design Center in Hollywood and was brought to Los Angeles and Hollywood to do some movie work and to do some television work. And when I got there, I had come into the American Society of Interior Designers, which is called ASID. So when you see someone's name and ASID is at the end of their name, it basically means that this is a bona fide designer, someone who has passed the tests, who has an education, background in interior design. And, I'd taken all these classes at Berkeley, design theory, color design theory, scale, period of history furniture. And, I was really moving into the area of antiquities very strongly with my archaeological work. So it just all sort of gelled for me. And I ended up, opening one of the very first design firms inside the Pacific Design Center in West Hollywood, up on the 6th floor when it just first opened in 1980. And thanks to opening that firm, I ended up working for people like Michael Jackson, for Dionne Warwick, for Elke Summers, and so Donna Summers. So many people were up there shopping, even Barbara Streisand, who needed help. I ended up doing a lot of things on Barbara Streisand's Art Deco home in Malibu. And then she would introduce me to Cher, and then I would get introduced to Michael Jackson. And this is how I ended up working for so many celebrities. And HGTV came to me, and they'd seen, Michael Jackson's first home that I worked on Havenhurst in Encino. And they were like, my goodness, we want to give you a show on Friday nights. It's called Awesome Interiors. And want you to host this, just going to the most incredible installations that you can find in LA that are just breathtaking. And so I worked on that show. I was on Decorating with a Dime and so many different design shows. And that's why I appear every year at World Market here in Las Vegas. So that is my story of how I got into interior design. And I think I was a unique person in that not only did I have these design skills, and a lot of them developed just actually through association, but I also was in the fashion industry. So I kind of knew fabrics and the fabric market, and I was doing things with fabrics a lot of people didn't do. I was bringing fabrics in from fashion and using them on upholstery, so that I was basically upholstering a sofa so that it looked like a really well-dressed guy from Bond Street, I was using the same thing for suit materials, for pant materials, for tie materials, on pillows and cushions, and basically using my knowledge from fashion and just applying it to interior design. That's how I ended up on AM San Francisco as their main designer, all kind of like through the late 70s and 80s. I appeared on so many AM shows across America as that interior designer that they would ask for design trends, how to get the new look, how to decorate on a dime, and how to take what you have in your home, the family heirlooms and things that you have inherited, and to make all of that work together as a unit. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about design. And I think probably everybody knows that. Just look at me. I painted my suit that I'm wearing today. That's hand painted. I basically created the shirt. I dyed it to the color that I wanted. My jewelry is from Santa Fe, from Thomas Singer, a really great jewelry maker. And I am kind of in Santa Fe mode right now because we're getting ready to open a pop-up shop in Santa Fe. So I'm really promoting that look. And also it is the look for my new television show, Savant Squad, where I basically play a guy from Santa Fe. All these new movies I'm doing, like Skyhawk, and ones that I'm appearing in some westerns right now. So I'm kind of in western mode. But my style of design has always been bohemian, eclectic, ethnic. So what I try to do is borrow from the world's color palette and borrow from my accessorizing comes from around the world from my travels. And as I'm out there traveling, I'm just collecting and collecting and collecting stuff that used to go into my pop-up shop that I had here in Las Vegas. And, I was selling a lot of stuff. I was promoting steampunk interiors. I was promoting ethnic interiors. And also the whole boho movement of eclecticism, where we're not afraid of color. We mix it up. We do things that are from different cultures, all put together in a bohemian style that, it's just fun. It's not too fussy. It's not too uppity. It's not too chic, modern, cold, where you just don't even feel comfortable like you can live in those rooms. The rooms that you can live in, and we give people permission to go out and collect and bring things home from your travels, and somehow we'll work all of that well into the main theme. But let's talk about the foundations of boho for a second. In order to get bohemian interiors and to make it look right, where it's not just an eclectic hodgepodge of too many things, you want to get your staple pieces of furniture in there first. So first, look at your space planning. Plan your space so that it works for the effectiveness of the total look of your home. And that being said, when you walk into an installation, I used to teach this on my television show, which is find your focal point in the room. And usually, let's say the fireplace is such a strong focal point that it pretty much has to become the center of the room, where you build around that fireplace because it's so strong in most of the houses. It's architectural. A lot of them are beautifully carved. Certainly in San Francisco, they're beautifully carved. And, they've got elements where the eye immediately goes there. So that becomes your room focal point. Then from the fireplace, you're going to build your room out. And for me, I love that idea, that old sort of British idea of having a fireplace with two really nice wingback chairs so that you can enjoy the fireplace, so that you can sit there, have a nice glass of wine, light your fire, have conversation with a friend, have a little small tea party. And then I do a lot of occasional pieces that can pull into that. So you might start out a party with 2 people. You want to have 4 more people sit around the fire, get warm during the winter. And so I've always got occasional chairs that can pull into that relate to it color-wise. So enough of this theory. Let's just take a little bit of look at this room in Balmont and sort of see how I put it together. So I have beautiful chairs that are actually family heirlooms. And this came to me from my grandparents. They're hand-carved chairs that come from France. And I picked out this gorgeous fabric from Scalamandri. And as you can see, this is a tufted Victorian chair, very, very hard chair to upholster. But this beautiful fabric from Scalamandri just continues right down. And it's a luscious upholstery job. Very few people can do upholstery this well. And so we have the Scalamandri, very, very heavy brocaded silk. And in this silk jacquard. And then on the sides, you can see I added elements of very deep teal velvet, also from Scalamandri. And the final finishing touch is this wonderful cushion that I did in a coordinated fabric. And that fabric actually came from S. Harris at the Design Center. So I found fabric from S. Harris. That's a really close match, very lucky, shall we say, match. And combine that with the velvet for a total look. And then when you move around to the back side of this chair, you can see I did the back in Fortuny fabric. So that gorgeous fabric, Fortuny's out of Venice, Italy, it's all handcrafted fabric, and this particular fabric was woven in Turkey, and it's just exquisite. So you've got the teal ethnic tribal look on the back of the chair, and the front of the chair has just this gorgeous, gorgeous, deep, deep teal tones. And you're looking at a chair that has a longer provenance than I do. I mean, you came out of a chateau in France, a long journey to America, and here it is, just looking exquisite, looking gorgeous after all of this upholstery work. So then, to make my total effect of my room tie-in, I used these carpets from Fortuny that you can see that really carries on the theme that you have here in the Fortuny fabric on the back of the chair. It picks that up. And all of my carpets reflect that teal. The things that are in relationship to that all have these touches of turquoise or teal, and that makes your room tie in where, it looks like a room that belongs together. So then I had this gorgeous carpet collection. I thought, I really want to showcase that. So my floors, I took them down to polished concrete. And I'm really glad that I went that direction. It was a long, difficult process, but it just makes the polished concrete makes beautiful carpets that I have. And some of these are $8, $9, $10,000 carpets from Turkey. You really want those to pop in this setting. Then I added these two amazing chairs that I found in Afghanistan, and they're hand carved. They're quite beautiful. Once again, the fabric's by Fortuny in the cushions on the chair, and I added those two carved chairs to carry in that color tone. And I have to say, I did hand paint those chairs because they just were not the right tone. And when I got finished with them, well, you can just see the result here. I got that great deep teal color. It took about 3 coats to get there, but it really picked up beautifully. And just the carving, the lattice work in these chairs pops. You cannot get these chairs anymore. That area of Afghanistan is occupied by the Taliban, so you can't really get anything like those anymore. They're priceless. And then I combined this beautiful wedding tansu that I found in Rajasthan, and once again it was hand painted in these gorgeous teal colors. And I just thought, wow, the relationship to those chairs will be really nice. It also pulls in the touches of red that are in the room. So now my color palette is this beautiful teal mixed with this, what I call cinnabar. It's like a really interesting shade of red that sort of comes from, it's the color of a red bell pepper. And I use food tones, I use like spice tones to put a room together. And I have this gorgeous tansu that is really one of a kind. You'll never see anything like it. It belongs in a museum. It's just absolutely exquisite. And then this is used as a reliquary in India, where inside, you have pictures of Krishna and Radha. And I just decided to leave it the way it was. It was so exquisite. Here's a beautiful old icon that came from Athens, and then combined it with this amazing carved peacock that had the same color tones. And that came out of Rajasthan, out of Jodhpur Palace. It's a very old piece that the Maharaja had, and somehow I was able to talk him out of it. And then on this, I have, various milagros from Mexico that also have the same color tones, but I just keep those candles burning at all times to just kind of bring a piece into my home. And you can kind of see how these teal chairs and that tansu mixed with these teal chairs all work. And then once again, I'm going to take us back to that Fortuny fabric that I thought was so exquisite. And I waited for months to get more of it, and thank God it came in the same colorway. And so then I upholstered this daybed in the same Fortuny fabric. And that way it ties in your room where you have a daybed that relates to the back of the chairs, right? And carries in the Fortuny carpet that is from the same company. And you can see how they wove that to go right into this fabric. So the tie-ins are just amazing. And, then I have this old throne. This came out of Jodhpur Palace. It was the former throne of the Maharaja, the peacock throne, very, very famous in its detailing. As you can see, the peacocks on it are just amazing, all hand-painted, very old, from the 19th century. And then I layered another piece I did a cushion in red and in teal, and that teal is used here in the arms of the chair. So once again, you have a relationship between these teals and this beautiful shade of red cinnabar, and it just makes for this incredible room that just perfectly coordinates. And then, of course, in the dining room area, I pulled the same teal silk from Scalamandre, and I basically covered the dining table, once again bringing in the teal with teal napkins, these gorgeous plates that came out of Jodhpur Palace, and combined all of that with the French chandelier that came out of my family's chateau. It's 19th century, and it's from Grenville, France, from the Baron of Grenville's home. That combines with this gorgeous painting of His Royal Highness Gaj Singh, the current Maharaja of Jodhpur, when he was a young man, done in a very ancient style, and wearing the famous Malabar pearls. And he's my very, very dear friend. I love seeing him every day because he really is my king. I just have wonderful times in his palace. And all of this just coordinates to make this amazing room with flow. And you can kind of see the science of how I operate a design job. So I'm using all of these elements and playing with the colors, but almost like I'm painting my jacket. I'm looking at cinnabar, I'm looking at teal, I'm looking at all the colors that I paint with when I'm doing a painting, and then echoing those colors in a room design where you have these teal, these beautiful shades of teal that just continue to pop in ways that make your room totally harmonious. So that's a little bit of design theory of how, and every job I do is different. Not all the jobs look like Balmonte Manor. Balmonte has been my project for these past 20 years, just having fun with my own home and using elements that I love, that I think work together aesthetically. But you can apply this to your own home. It's a theory that you use where you realize that you have relationships of color. And the code is always try to have at least three if you're going to introduce a color. So you need to have a cushion the same color, you need to have some sort of chair the same color, and have some sort of fabric on your sofa the same color. And that way you have a relationship of three items, and that is very, very pleasing in color theory to the eye. So there you have a little bit of a tip on design today and on decorating. Thank you so much for asking the question about how I got into this industry. And I'm very happy to announce that I'm in conversations with HGTV again about reviving my old show of Awesome Interiors. And this time we want to shoot out of Las Vegas. There's so many amazing, marvelous, eclectic, as you can imagine, interior design jobs here in Las Vegas. Over these past 24 years, I've just done some amazing jobs, all the way from Tony Curtis's house to a home that I did at Queensridge that was $55 million, to some homes of our biggest celebrities here in Las Vegas I've worked for, helping them pull it together. I enjoy interior design so much, almost as much as I enjoy acting and teaching archaeology. I'm a juggler, and I'm juggling sort of these three careers, but I thank you all for being so understanding and indulgent of my eclecticism. And it's just a passion. I wake up every day and I have a passion for creating. I have a passion for acting. I have a passion for interior design. I have a passion for archaeology. And I can't seem to just pick one out and do one thing. I like a Renaissance man of old times. I have to do all of those things just to stay creatively happy and motivated. And I can tell you it's working for me at my age in my mid 70s. I'm just a totally happy guy. I enjoy every single day of life. It's so rich and so full. And the best thing about this journey is having friends like you who reach out to me, who like to follow me, who tell me they feel inspired by me. That means the world to me because that's the reason why I do these things. I'm trying to inspire people and trying to continue to push that envelope of interior design, of design work, of acting to really create something amazing that people in the future can look back and say, wow, that is incredible. So thank you for joining me here on Doc Talk, episode 27. Have a gorgeous day. And you guys know I love you. Take care. Namaste.